I want you to pray for the sick in the ambulance. And he doesn't even believe in healing.
Now, I'm going to play little clips from Sid Meier's It's Supernatural under the fair use article in the description. If you want to read the fair use article, there's a link to it down below in my about section, and you can go there to find out if I played this clip under the law or not, and then decide whether you want to sue me, because I am going to play it under the law.
But it's God. So he starts praying. His first 400 or 500 people, no one got healed. So I want to introduce to you for the first time Dave Hayes, otherwise known as the Praying Medic. So let me tell you kind of a thumbnail sketch of Dave's background. Raised Catholic. At 12, he became an atheist. You hated the name of Jesus.
I did. I hated the name of Jesus. Very early on as a teenager, I couldn't say the name without loathing and disgust.
You're a paramedic for some
Took it to the fire station and I read it.
Wait a minute. How the hell does that make sense? I've heard him say he was an atheist for a while before. Hold up.
So let me tell you kind of a thumbnail sketch of Dave's background. Raised Catholic. At 12, he became an atheist. You hated the name of Jesus.
I did. I hated the name of Jesus.
At 12, he became an atheist? How does that make sense? 12? What is this? What does the age 12 reflect in all these guys? You know, like earlier we heard I'm not a numbers guy. You don't ever hear me up here, you know, talking about numerology and stuff like some other people do on YouTube. But we've heard that who said 12 earlier? The guy that was on Lift the Veil said at 12, that's when he, you know, beat up that 3-year-old. Now Medic's saying at 12 he became an atheist. Like,
very early on as a teen.
I couldn't imagine my son at 12, because my son's that age, saying that he's an atheist, right? I could imagine him doing it in a few years or something.
I couldn't say the name without loathing and disgust.
Kristen says, my daughter became an atheist at 15. I would expect maybe that, right?
You're a paramedic for some
Took it to the fire station and I read it. And in the book, the gospel of love is in this story, and I started to read it, and I got so convicted of the sin and the wrong things I'd been doing my whole life.
That's the actor playing Praying Medic that they hired.
And this presence showed up in the room, the presence of God. I didn't know what it was at the
I don't believe him. I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to have an opinion. I don't believe this guy. You know, we've heard a few people talk about him, the guys at MNN. We've heard the guys at, we've heard Zero talk about him. And I know there's a big back and forth right now about information coming out about certain people. Guys, you got to let me, you know, have my opinion. I let you have your opinion. And we have to respect each other for our opinions here. I let the guys at MNN have their opinion. I appreciate all the info they tell me. I don't want them withholding certain pieces of information from me. And I want them to tell me everything they have and let me make up my mind. And I want you to hear it too, okay? Somebody said something about Sather's coffee enema and how it does have medical benefits. And I'm not saying it doesn't. I am not saying it doesn't. I'm saying that him stating that because a woman came into his health food store and told him that the coffee enema made her feel better and heal her cancer doesn't qualify him then to go around on YouTube and other places telling people that a coffee enema cures cancer. That's my point. Yeah, I'm sure it has health benefits. I'm sure that a certain mix of potassium, which is saline water, most likely, and a certain mix of an extract of the caffeine chemical together when used in a certain way, could it have beneficial effects and could it cleanse your body? I'm sure it can. But there, you know, I want there to be a medical test where they actually image people to see if the cancer cells are affected by these treatments before people are told that it can cure cancer. Because there is a reason why some more dubious people would want you to believe that a process cures cancer. There is a reason why, because they would gain from it. And I'm sorry that we live in the age where we have to be skeptical of a lot of things like that that are said to us, because we have all these people lying. We have all these different people. Now, some people say he's not lying, he really believes it. No, he doesn't. If he hasn't, no person that is in any way has a brain can say, I am convinced that this thing cures cancer because someone walked in and told me their cancer was cured after using it. So now I'm going to tell other people that. That is not logical, and it makes no sense. Maybe if you close yourself off from listening and having, dialogues with other human beings, maybe if you close yourself off for so long, having intelligent conversation with other human beings, you get to the point where you start believing that if one person tells you that the coffee enema cures cancer, that you believe every coffee enema cures everyone's cancer. But cancer is different. And if you look at what cancer is and how it develops and what it looks like in the cell, and you can tell that different cells get it in different ways. And it's like a cell whose DNA gets malformed and messed up. But the problem with DNA is it replicates. So your cell is replicating to replace other cells in your lungs, and a part of the DNA can get messed up. Or, this is a very baseline, stupid explanation, but once your cancer cell multiplies, it maintains that defect or mutation, okay? And so you can't say that one treatment is going to cure lung cancer. Well, this treatment's going to cure stomach cancer or colon cancer or kidney cancer. You get what I'm saying? You got to go through massive amount of testing. It's very expensive to do it because you got to pay people whose salaries are through the roof. And they have to sit there for a year or 2 years giving the people these treatments and then imaging them to see if the cancers went away or not. And what I'm telling you is those types of things are not done for the processes that Sather's going around telling people will heal their cancer. And in the same respect, we see the same thing with Medic. We see it with a lot of these people that use... now, you got a lot of people in the audience here, and I have no clue why they're sitting here believing this. If they do read their Bible, not have someone read it to them at church every Sunday, but actually sit down and read it. And I'm not talking religion. Again, I want to put out a disclaimer. I'm not trying to tell you about Christianity, and I'm not trying to sit here and preach at you, and I'm not trying to discuss religion. I'm trying to tell you that there's a disconnection between what is written in those pages and what these guys are telling people. I don't know why they do it. I'm sure you could guess why. I don't know why we've got this big focus on satanic ritual abuse, and we have this big deception going on where people that practice satanic ritual abuse on others become the heroes on YouTube. I don't know why that's happening, but I am not going to just sit here and not talk about it if I see it happening and then decide that's some worthy shit to talk about, because my show gets logged. Okay? I download all my shows and I archive them, but they also get logged on YouTube and many other networks that I stream on. So I think it's good to have this video here for anyone else in the future that see that dude pop up that was on Lift the Veil. They're going to be able to maybe hopefully find this video and see what he did here. Okay, for the next thing that Medic does, after Q goes away, Medic's not going to be making as much money. Do you think he's just going to chill and do some regular videos like he did before Q? Or do you think he's going to have some other big thing, like he can heal people and he can travel through heaven himself and he speaks to God, he's a prophet? I mean, for God's sake, that's what Medic's telling you. He's telling you that he is prophet level, right? And I wonder what a lot of people think about that, because a lot of people don't even know who he is. Let's go to the live chat and let's move on. So what's the one thing we see across the board from these guys? Not just that they have blind faith in Q. Not just that they will not entertain any intelligent thought and talk to anyone that doesn't believe the shit they're selling, right? Not just that they all get convinced that they are special in some way. They've got the cure to cancer. Both Medic and Sather both say that. They Medic says that he sees God and talks to God and projects himself into heaven through praying. And I have to sit and ask myself, is Sather and Medic the type of people that believe this themselves and that's why they go to YouTube and say this stuff? Or are they the type of people that are lying and acting like they believe this stuff because they know it gets donations and views? And then we should ask ourselves, why does it get donations and views? I fully believe both of them are bold-faced liars because of their past. Okay? Both of them have this thing in common, that they both started getting views in the since Q. They both didn't have shit until they started covering Q. They got an audience full of people that will believe them no matter what it is they say. Right? They got an audience that's very leadable, and now they're all doing the same thing. It's really weird to see all of them playing their audience the same way. It's almost like these guys know how to play an audience, regardless of what way to play it, and they play it the best way they can. It's almost like they get on the phone and call each other like, yo, all you got to do to get these people to click and view your shit is talk about satanic ritual abuse, that you know how to heal cancer, and about how you know about the blue avians, dog, and we'll be hooked up. We get the views then, we make that money. And any intelligent person out there knows what they're doing. They're selling that snake oil. Let's take a look. In the 1800s, they saw thousands of Chinese workers arriving in the United States as indentured laborers. Mid-City Digital says, a friend turned me on to Scott Adams' blog. I tried to turn him on to this vlog. He said he doesn't care because he wants to read, not watch. Mental block? Scott Adams. I think I was watching his stuff earlier. Weren't we? Is that the dude from Dilbert? Or do I got the wrong guy? Yeah, well, let's take a look at Scott after this, because he's got the cure for your Sather Medic problems. Okay. Indentured laborers to work on the Transcontinental Railroad. According to historian Richard White's book, Railroaded, about 180,000 Chinese immigrated to the United States between 1849 and 1882. The vast majority of workers came from the peasant families in southeastern China and were signed to contracts that ran up to 5 years for relatively low wages compared with their white counterparts, wrote David Howard Bain in his book Empire Express. Among the items the Chinese railroad workers brought with them to the States were various medicines, including snake oil, made from the oil of the Chinese water snake, which is rich in omega-3 acids that help reduce inflammation. Snake oil in its original form was effective, especially when used to treat arthritis and bursitis. The workers would rub the oil used for centuries in China on their joints after a long, hard day of work. The story goes, the Chinese workers began sharing the oil with some American counterparts who marveled at the effects. So how did a legitimate medicine become a symbol of fraud? The origins of snake oil as a derogatory phrase traces back to the latter half of the 19th century. Yeah, Rose, I saw that. That was a really good video. He really is good at what he does. Where was I at here? The 19th century, which saw a dramatic rise in the popularity of patent medicines. Often sold on the back pages of newspapers, these tonics promise to cure a wide variety of ailments, including chronic pain, headaches, female complaints, and kidney trouble. In time, all of these false cures began to refer to as snake oil. As word of the healing powers of the Chinese snake oil grew, many Americans wondered how they could make their own snake oil here in the States. Because there were no Chinese water snakes handy in the West, many healers began using rattlesnakes to make their own version of snake oil. This set the stage for entrepreneur Clark Stanley, aka the Rattlesnake King. In 1897, pamphlet about Stanley's life and exploits, the former cowboy claimed he had learned about the healing power of rattlesnake oil from Hopi medicine men. He never publicly mentioned Chinese snake oil at all. Stanley created a huge stir at the 1893 World Exposition in Chicago when he took a live snake and sliced it open before a crowd of onlookers. Joe Schwartz, the director of McGill University Office for Science and Technology, described the scene in his 2008 article. Snake oil, a liniment. Stanley reached into a sack, plucked out a snake, slit it open, and plunged it into boiling water. Then, when the fat rose to the top, he skimmed it off and used it on the spot to create Stanley's snake oil, a liniment that was immediately snapped up by the throng that had gathered to watch the spectacle. There were two major problems with Stanley's claims about his oil. First, rattlesnake oil was far less effective than original Chinese snake oil it was trying to emulate. In 1989, letter to the Western Journal of Medicine from psychiatrist and researcher Richard Koonin revealed that the Chinese oil contained almost triple the amount of vital acid as the rattlesnake oil. Secondly, Stanley's snake oil didn't contain any snake at all. The Pure Food and Drug Act of 1906 sought to clamp down on the sale of patent medicines, and it was that legislation that led to Stanley's undoing. After seizing a shipment of Stanley's snake oil in 1917, federal investigators found that primarily contained mineral oil, a fatty oil believed to be beef fat, red peppers, and turpentine. That's right. Stanley's signature product did not contain a drop of snake oil, and hundreds of consumers discovered that they had been had. Okay? It was probably around that snake oil became a symbol of fraud. Snake oil salesmen and traveling doctors became stock characters in American Westerns. The first written usage of the phrase appeared in Stephen Vincent Bennett's epic 1927 poem, John Brown's Body, when the poet refers to, quote, crooked creatures of 1,000 dubious trades, sellers of snake oil, bomb, and lucky rings. About 30 years later, playwright Eugene O'Neill referred to a snake oil in his 1956 play, The Iceman Cometh, when a character suggested that a rival was, quote, standing on a street corner in hell right now, making suckers of the damned, telling them there's nothing like snake oil for a bad burn. As for what happened to Clark Stanley after it was found that his whole empire was based on a lie, he was fined $20, that's about $500 today, for violating the Food and Drug Act and for misbranding his product by falsely and fraudulently representing it as a remedy for all pain. Stanley did not dispute the charges. We have been plagued throughout the last couple thousand years by people doing this kind of thing to others. And it all falls back on a principle that they don't care how they make their money. They just don't want to go to work. They don't want to have to work. They don't want to have to do anything real. They don't want to have to make money off their talents, and they don't want to have to fail off their talents. They want to be guaranteed success. That's why the majority of people that push QAnon at you are criminals and snake oil salesmen. They aren't just that. They also dabble in medicine. Almost all of them. And then they go around criticizing other people for the same things they do, like Jones. At least Jones doesn't tell you it's going to like cure everything bad about what you have going wrong. He tells you how much he likes it, and he tries to be as accurate as he can. But really, are there anything different between these guys? You know? And I love the point that I think it was Joel or Global or someone made. No, it was Joe from the Carolinas. He made the point that on Comedy Central, those four characters said, they aren't Alex Jones. That guy's crazy. He pulled up a tweet from where one of them went on Alex Jones that December and showed that these guys really use the flaws of the internet to their advantage. There's only one thing that defeats them. There's only one thing that helps debunk them, and there's only one thing you can do to help them not have an effect. And that is to tell other people what they're doing. Make your own videos to go against theirs.